I've not been an okay person since I've been little. There's never been a time when I was okay. But I did not stop, because why will I stop? Someone from Abeg, which is now Pocket, reached out to me. At that point, everybody just believed that tech money was the money. And I was like, tech money? It's bastard money. They did not tell me that it's not always like that. Abeg sponsored Big Brother and it was chaotic. It was a madhouse. I was doing so much I could not even imagine. It was very stressful to handle both. So I eventually had to leave Abeg for content. They did not tell you that you're gonna suffer after you quit if you don't have a savings plan. But the person told me that they were going to pay me the salary that I was making at Abeg for 3 months, you know, so that I can just do my content and get on my feet. The person did not pay me. They just used it to deceive me to quit my job. Hi guys, my name is Hauwa, and this is the story of how I wrote and put out my first comic book, Hauwa's Madhouse. Do whatever it is you want to do. And start now. Life is short though. Life is short. Before you know it now, dollar will be 1,500.
Be how the you know this? How? Hold on, bro. How?
Hey folks, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Itimi. I'm a multifaceted creator, a marketing professional, and a teacher, and I'm passionate about growing people and growing businesses. See, the goal is that anybody who comes across me or any piece of my content is inspired and or motivated to get better in your business, in your career, and in your life. As you watch this video, like and comment and share to your friends and family if you like it. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Enjoy this video, and I'll see you. Peace.
This is the story of how I put out my first comic book. I think that it's very important to note that I've not been an okay person since I've been little. There's never been a time when I was okay. My parents would send me to school because they believed that I was supposed to go to school to learn, right? But no, I would get to school and I'll be drawing comics on my books. And my teachers had like a problem with it, my parents, everybody had a problem with it. But I did not stop, because why will I stop? It's not like anybody's gonna kill me. So I started to draw and I started to write comics. I'll fill a whole book with comics. And I quickly learned that that was what I like to do. I just like to tell stories, visual stories. It's very important to note that writing comics as a child, it was almost like I saw what I was going to be doing when I was older, because even before I wrote my comic book, I would write stories with memes in it, and it's sort of similar to writing comics. You have a picture and you have something that narrates what's happening. So now that I think about it, I was onto something. So I would write all of that, and eventually my parents shut it down because they were like, what's all this nonsense you are doing? And so I went on to secondary school and I went on to study journalism and communications. And when I finished my degree, I came back to Nigeria, and upon getting to Nigeria, my dad was like, so what are you going to do with your life now? I said, me, I don't know, me, I just want to eat and sit down at home. And he's like, what do you mean? After spending all this money on you, you want to sit down at home and do what? So I decided to go and, you know, I did my NYSC and I decided to go into the world to look for a job. But the job market flogged me in a terrible way. It pushed me to the wall. But that's not why I decided to go into content. Before they say this girl didn't get a job, so but I was leaning more towards being a corporate person, and when I went for all my interviews and everything, nothing worked though. I did not pass anything. So I came back and I really thought about what I wanted to do, and I realized that that was not where my interests lay. Yes, apologies. Yes, please. I got a job with KraksTV, and I started to write content for them, for their websites, for their social media pages, and I kept writing, and at some point they started to give me credit for my work. And a lot of people would see my work and then they'll go to my personal page and they would find it really interesting that I was writing all of those things, and then they'll follow me. And I in my head, I'm like, why are you following me? I'm just writing for Kraks. You don't have to follow me, just follow Kraks. But people were like, oh, I should start doing this on my own page, and I have a lot of stories to tell. And so I started doing that personally on my page. But at the time, I had gone for my master's because I still did not accept that content was what I was supposed to be doing. So I went to get a master's in marketing and communications. And I left Nigeria again for my master's. And it was while I was completing my master's that I took content more seriously, and I started putting out more content on my Instagram page. While I was putting out content on my Instagram page, my parents were like, what's all this one you are doing? This is not what we sent you to do. Finish your master's and come home and get a great job and do what you're supposed to do with your life. And I was like, well, you can't tell me what to do. And my dad was like, okay, we'll stop paying your school fees. And I was like, okay, you can't tell me what to do, please. So as I was doing my master's, I was also doing content by the side. And one time I put out a story that did relatively well on Instagram but blew up on Twitter, and that's how people found me. A lot of people started following me on Twitter, and I was like, oh wait, this is a thing. And so I started to do content. I became more serious with it. It was while I was finishing my master's that I realized that I really wanted to take content more seriously. But while I was finishing my master's, I was also doing other jobs on the side. Eventually, as I continued to do what I was doing with content, a lot of people started to pay me to do advertisements for them, and I was like, what? You can pay me for this so I can make money? I think the first gig I ever got paid for was to do an ad for a battery company, car batteries company, and I think they paid me like, oh no, I told the guy I wanted 10K for a post, and I was like, why? I'm gonna pay you 20. I was like, what? A whole me? 20,000 naira? I did the post, and it just showed me that I could do a lot with content, and I could do more than I even thought I was capable of doing. So I started taking more seriously. But you have to remember that I was still doing my side hustles and no, not even side hustles, they were main gigs, because content was my side hustle, because it was not making me any money. So I had to hold down proper jobs. I kept doing that for a while. And the great thing about being exposed on social media is that people bring gigs, like not even for social media, outside of social media. And so I was doing those while I was doing my content, while I was doing my full-time job. At that point, I was working for an organization called EdQuest, where I'd have to research stuff like Nigerian culture and all of that. So I was just doing everything by the side, just patching myself, just managing myself. And then someone from Abeg, which is now Pocket, reached out to me, and they were like, oh, you should come on board as our digital marketing lead. And I was like, tech money? It's bastard money. And I was like, who cares about content? Please. But no, who cares about content. I was still doing my stuff, and this was my time to enter into the Nigerian tech space. If you know anything about Nigerian tech space, it's so shiny from the outside. Everybody wants to be in it. It's like, you get to talk to you're in the tech space. I don't know how else to explain it, but they have a lot of, especially on Twitter, they have a lot of rep and all of that. And everybody at that point, everybody just believed that tech money was the money that you were like ritual money. They did not tell me that it's not always like that. But I got into tech, and I started working with Abeg, which is now Pocket. But for the sake of this interview, I'm going to call them Abeg, because they were Abeg when I joined them. Yeah, I was working with them because it was I got the job while I was finishing up my master's. So when I got back to Nigeria, I was able to fully join the team, and it was great until I decided that I can't handle both jobs. I can't handle my content and Abeg, because the thing about working with Abeg was it was not like a regular 9 to 5. It required you to be, and also because I was working with social media as well, it required you to be present whenever you needed to be present. You always had to hold down everything. And then the worst thing now happened. Abeg sponsored Big Brother, and it was chaotic. It was a madhouse. I was running from pillar to post. I was doing so much I could not even imagine. I could not believe what I was doing. Even though it was fun, it was thrilling. I learned a lot on the job, and the experience was so valuable. It also meant that my content was suffering, and the content that I'd been doing for so long was not working anymore, because I would see that my content, the content that I create, requires me to be requires me to be happy and light and free and just in that zone, right? In that space, in that bubbly, happy space. But because I had a full-time job with Abeg, I had to be professional. So it was very difficult to go straight from professional to light-hearted and silly, if I can say that. And I could not allow my Abeg job suffer, but I saw that I had put my Abeg job above my content job because they were paying me and they expected me to do my job. But my content was mine, so I felt like, it could suffer because there was nothing there at that time. But then I eventually decided to quit Abeg because I realized that I could not handle both. Some people are so good at it. I don't know how they do it. I don't like stress. I don't subscribe to any sort of stress. Anything that's going to stress me, I tap out. And so I realized that it was very stressful to handle both. So I eventually had to leave Abeg for content. And nobody told me. You know how they'll just be online, you just go on LinkedIn, oh, I quit my job one time. You have to quit your job. Everybody's telling you, if it's not working, just quit. They not tell you that you're going to suffer after you quit if you don't have a savings plan. Oh, you're going to suffer. I suffered. And it's so annoying because if you live in Lekki or you live in all these nice areas and you're suffering, you might not really realize that you're suffering because you look out and you're like, everywhere is so nice. But if you live in Ikorodu and you are suffering at the same time, you might even be happy, but you just open your window, you just see floods, you just close it back because you're just like, where do I start from with this my life? Nothing is even working. At least if you are living in a great place, at least that your environment is working. But at that point, my environment was not working, my life was not working, nothing was working. And so I was like, where do we go from here? So I just decided that, and before I quit Abeg, someone told me that, because I had a lot of anxiety before I quit, because why am I leaving a salary job behind, the safety net of monthly salaries? But the person told me that they were going to pay me the salary that I was making at Abeg for 3 months. Or was it 3 or 6 months? It was one of those. And, so that I can just do my content and get on my feet. The person did not pay me. They just used it to deceive me to quit my job. They ghosted me. They ghosted me. No, they didn't pay me. But I think that the person realized that that was what I needed. I just needed to know that I would be okay if I didn't have my full-time job. And I had some savings, but it was just not enough. When you think, oh, I have savings, and before you know it, your savings has finished. So I started working on my content. Like, I faced my content squarely, and it was then that I started to do more for my page, for my content. And the thing about social media is, if you put in the work, you will see the results. The algorithm is mad. Is something that is just, look, algorithm is not your friend, but if you do the work, you will see the results. It might not be immediate, but you will see results. And so I started to do the work. I started to write. I started a newsletter. I just wanted to do more, and so I started to do more. And I realized that by the end of the year, because I quit Abeg towards second quarter, by the end of the year, I realized that I was in a good place. I'm not in a good place financially, but mentally I was in a good place. So it's not that I'll not say I'm in a good, you people are trying to trick me. I'll not say I'm in a good place financially. My sponsors will not now come again. Please, I'm not in a good space. So, so I started to create content. But I realized that this was what I wanted to do. I wanted to tell stories. I'm great at telling stories. I'm great at keeping people engaged. So I started to do that. I would write and I would share my content, and it started to pick up. Then after a while, I started to feel stuck. Yeah. So I used to be anonymous. All this time I was anonymous. Nobody knew what I looked like. Nobody knew my face. Only the people at Abeg knew what I looked like. And it was not like I was... yeah, obviously. it's like they were employing ghosts. And it was not like I was... a lot of people just respected the fact that I didn't want to put my face out there. So even if you met me and I told you that I was the person behind the account, I noticed that all people would just do is be like, "Oh, that's nice, so nice to meet you," and then they will just run along, you know. So, but nobody felt the need to out me in that way, in that sense. Sorry. So, but I started to feel stuck. I needed to go the extra mile. I needed to be it was not like I was not a proper content creator, but I just felt like with my face I could do so much more. E.g., if I was still anonymous, peace will not call me for an interview. Do you see? Points. After I left Abeg, I realized that life is so short, and before you know what is happening, 10 years have gone by. You don't know what you're doing yet. And I felt like I had to live my life intentionally. I needed to make every minute count with life. So, and I also saw that being anonymous didn't help that. It was just me hiding my face. And, you know, for what reason, really? Because the whole point of being anonymous was just because I didn't feel the need to post my pictures. I didn't know what it was adding to my content. It was not adding any value to the content that I had on my page. People were engaged without my face, so there was no need to post pictures. I just didn't, and it just made the whole brand seem very mysterious and interesting. Also, one time someone slapped one content creator, and I was like, this will never happen to me because you've not seen my face. But at that point I started to feel like, what else can I do? I felt like I had done all that I could do within the confines of being an anonymous content creator. So I decided to step out of being anonymous. I didn't want to box myself in. I had so much to offer. And have you seen my face? It's a 10 over 10. So I started to plan my reveal, the face reveal, to finally, you know, show people who the person behind the account looked like. But I didn't want to just do it. I wanted to do it in addition to something, and that's how I got the idea for My comic book, Hauwa's Madhouse, that's the name of my comic book. So I started writing the comic book, and I started writing the story, and I started looking at illustrators. Guys, illustrators are so expensive. Ha, God, they wanted to kill me. The money they were sending to me that I should come and give them, I was like, if I've seen this money in my life, you think it's comic book I'll be writing, Abby? So I was just looking for writers, you know, for illustrators, people that could illustrate. The ones that I could afford were so bad, and the ones that I could not afford were so good. So I was in the middle. I needed to find someone in the middle that could do it, and also not charge me too much. But it's not that you go and meet him now, he will not charge you. He has one. It was not have sense the time that I came to meet him. Now it has sense. And also, he didn't know that I was popular on Twitter, so he didn't bill me like that. Look at God. But yeah, so I found the person through a family friend, because my dad is an artist, so he has an artist friend whose son is an artist. Anyway, so I found the person that was going to illustrate the comic book, and we talked about pricing and all of that, and we started to, we started to work on the project, and eventually it was ready, and it now remained for me to come out with my face, and I was so scared. I was like, I've been anonymous for this long, I'll now come out now. So because see, if you're on Twitter, you know that people can be very mean. So if you say something and people want to insult you, they'll go and look for like one of your ugliest pictures. They'll not say, look at your nose, like cow nose, right? But they could not do that to me. All they could say was, this stupid girl. You could not really attack anything on my body, because it's not if you have seen me that you attack something. So, but then I was supposed to put out my picture. I was like, hey, God, now I'm giving people ammunition to use against me. Oh. But then I was like, oh, is that really gonna stop me? So, by the way, my face has now become a meme. So what was I even scared of? But I eventually now set a date. Oh, I put the book on pre-order when we're almost done, and people started to pre-order, and I was like, you people are buying this book? What? Because I really didn't know if people were going to buy it. I just needed to put it out because I needed to sell something. I needed to make my work tangible. I needed to be able to touch it, although I can't touch the comic book, but I feel like you understand what I mean. I needed to do something outside of social media, and so I wrote the comic book, and then I did a photo shoot. Of course, I will not just post me sitting in my parlor now, can I? So I did the comic book, and I posted my picture, and it was a success. It was a success, and it was I love the reception. Peace just told me I should hire somebody that will help me do marketing for the comic book. If you are interested, you can, and you know, it's not like you're a thief. It's not like you put gun to my head and collect all my money. Reach out to me. I need someone to market it, because again, even though I study marketing and communication, I find it very hard to market my own work. So if you're interested, call me. So yeah, that's how I got there. And now the journey from having a comic book out to actually creating content with my face has been, I think it's been really incredible. And it's not been all great, but it has just taught me that thing that you're afraid of, that thing that you're afraid of doing, you're going to do it and nothing is going to happen to you. So I was anonymous for more than 5 years because of a lot of issues. Firstly, I think I was depressed at some point. Secondly, I didn't want people to know what I looked like. Thirdly, I was a little insecure, and then I just didn't see the need to do it. But I knew that once I come out with my face, like, it will make a difference to my content. And it's so clear. It has made a difference. A lot of people, I've transitioned to from just writing stories to actually telling the stories, and I've known that, right? So that thing you want to do, just do it. That stuff you want to apply for it. What is going to happen in the end? It's not like you're going to die. It's just going to be one more thing that you've achieved or you have failed at. And then everybody's going to move on because nobody really cares that much. So don't let anything or anybody hold you back. That's my advice. And send me money, please.
Most importantly.
Thank you.
One question I have for you. If you knew what you knew now, would you have stopped being anonymous faster?
My dear, I would not even have considered it for 1 minute. So I would have stopped faster because I see the opportunities that are available to me, because people can see my face and people can remember me. But I don't think that I would necessarily have done it earlier because it was right. It just felt right. I had a lot of time to prepare. I feel like I needed the years of being anonymous just to prepare myself. So as much as I want you to do stuff, you also need to be ready. There's no perfect time, but to an extent, you need to be ready. And I loved the cover that came with Anonymity. Like, nobody was talking about inviting me anywhere. I am a homebody, so I don't like to go out. So it was just really great for me. So I would not have done it earlier. I think I would have done it right at the time that I did it. It was just perfect.
Yeah, that makes sense. Final words for your audience after this 28 minutes.
Again, send me money. But yeah, so I think that please buy my comic book. It's very important. See, I don't even market it again. I keep forgetting. What's wrong with me? Please buy my comic book. And if you don't follow me, check me out. It's Hauwa with is it possible for you to write it on the screen? Please follow me. Please help me write it on the screen, because if I'm saying it will be too long and you just tap out. And the last thing is, you're not as bad as you think you are at that stuff that you want to do. Trust me, you're not as bad. If you can think about it, you already have conquered a step. So you're not as bad. A lot of people tell me, oh, I want to make videos, but I don't know how to start. You think me I knew how to start? If I knew how to start, why did I wait 5 years? So just do it. Don't worry. That's what, that's the good thing about being able to look back on what you have done. Do whatever it is you want to do. And start now. Life is short, though. Life is short. Before you know it, now dollar will be 1,500. Oh, you are saying this thing. One time I was in an exchange program in Germany, and I was with this girl who was, I think she was from one of these African countries, and that time dollar was like 150, right? She told me that their dollar was 700 and something. If you see how I scattered on the floor, I was laughing like this. I was laughing so much. She was like, why are you laughing? It's not funny. I said, it's funny. You are dead in your country. You're not doing anything with your life. Now look at me today. The money I'm earning in is 1,000. So, wait, is it up to 1,000? No, it's pounds that is 1,000. But think about it. So do whatever you want to do today. Nigeria cares about you, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's been so nice talking to Peace and talking to the people behind the camera. They're going to give me money once I'm done.
Amen.
She's going to count money for me.
I mean,
because she looks like,
I'm not sure, but
she looks like she does stuff in foreign currency.
Hey, so come on, be going. Money. Camera shots.
Don't shot anything.
Hauwa, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you so much for having me.